One of the most currently discussed topics related to the war in Ukraine is the delivery of American F-16 fighter jets to the Ukrainian army. More than a year has passed since it was decided that these planes would be transferred. The first decision to transfer F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine was made on May 15, 2023. But so far, no Fighting Falcon has cut the Ukrainian sky with its wings. In this video, we'll try to understand why this is the case and whether the F-16, if it ends up in Ukraine, will be able to change the course of hostilities. Our conclusions will be interesting, so watch this video to the end. The F-16 Fighting Falcon is, without exaggeration, a legendary airplane. We can say the pinnacle of world fighter aviation of the 80s and 90s of the last century. When talking about the F-16, you often have to repeat for the first time. For the first time, a serial fighter aircraft had a maximum speed of Mach 2. It was the first time the thrust-to-weight ratio of a fighter exceeded 1. For the first time, the maximum flight altitude was 58,000 feet, the limit of near space. For the first time, an electric remote control system was used on a fighter. For the first time, the airplane was designed for 9G overloads. For the first time, the fighter had a drop-shaped, non-binding lantern for better visibility from the cockpit. It's not for nothing that the F-16 became the most popular fourth-generation fighter, and it's in service with 25 countries. Israeli F-16s Bravo crushed Arab MiG-21, MiG-23, MiG-25, and MiG-29 with a crushing score. For example, in the 1982 Lebanon War, which was the F-16's debut as a combat aircraft, the Israelis shot down 43 Arab fighters, losing only 6 F-16s. And now this proven air fighter is to be handed over to Ukraine. It's known that Denmark, Belgium, and the Netherlands will transfer the machines from their air forces. According to the latest news, the Belgian authorities have decided to transfer 30 F-16s to Kyiv until 2028, and the first fighters will be delivered in 2024. It's also reported that the Dutch government has decided to prepare the first 18 F-16 fighter jets for transfer to Ukraine. The Danes will hand over 19 fighters. Ukrainian pilots are being trained in Denmark, Romania, and the USA. But as we said earlier, more than a year has passed since the beginning of training, but no F-16s have seen the Ukrainian skies yet. Why? To answer this question, let's see what kind of F-16s are going to be transferred to Ukraine. All the countries mentioned earlier are operators of F-16AB fighters modernized under the Midlife Update Program, abbreviated as MLU, which after modernization received the F-16AM-BM MLU index. The letter B in the index says that this is a two-seat modification of the machine. Therefore, it'll be appropriate to talk about the MLU program, combat capabilities, and performance characteristics of the modernized aircraft and try to predict their future fate in the Ukrainian Air Force. The Midlife Update Program was designed to maintain the performance level of existing aircraft for the next 10 to 20 years. A total of 136 Dutch, 72 Belgian, and 61 Danish F-16s were upgraded under the MLU program. A total of 269 aircraft were affected by the modernization. Modernization of the plane began in 1997 and fully completed the initial program by 2010. It should be noted that Denmark and the Netherlands retained exclusively the aircraft that passed this program. What was done within its framework? The backbone of every modern fighter jet is its radar. The aircraft received the AN/APG-66V2 radar. This radar is a modernized version of the AN/APG-66 developed by Westinghouse Electric Corporation, which today is absorbed by Northrop Grumman. The range of the basic version does not exceed 150 kilometers. The version for the MLU program received a new signal processor, higher output power, and improved reliability. In addition, the aircraft received a new wide-angle windshield indicator and new multifunction indicators compatible with night vision goggles. Navigation and data processing systems were also upgraded. The F-16s received a combined inertial satellite navigation system and a modular digital onboard computer, replacing several separate computers. MLU airplanes were adapted to suspend target containers to guide high-precision air-to-surface weapons. In addition, the upgraded F-16s were able to use AIM-120 air-to-air missiles. This is very important for Ukraine. The upgraded early F-16AB to F-16AM-BM version was at the time considered to be the Block 55 counterpart. The Midlife Update program continues its development and to date has 21 updates, making both minimal and significant improvements to the F-16 aircraft. Below, we'll consider only the significant ones. This is the integration of anti-radar missiles, AGM-88 HARM, missiles AIM-9X, Irish-T, and AIM-120D, cruise missiles AGM-158 JASSM, AGM-158B, JASSM-ER, and AGM-158A, anti-ship missile AGM-84 Harpoon, installation of NATO Link 16 data exchange system, the ability to use guided bombs GBU-3032, GBU-39SDB, GBU-54LJDAM, AGM-154, and EGBU-12, replacing the radar with AN/APG-83, providing detection of targets at distances of 370 kilometers. As we can see, the old F-16s have undergone the entire MLU modernization program and become true multifunctional machines with very broad capabilities. It's known for sure that the Ukrainian Air Force will receive F-16 AMBM, but it remains unknown the modernization packages they've undergone under the MLU program. We'd like to hope for F-16s with the maximum level of integration of the previously listed range of weapons, especially the presence of AN/APG-83 radar and the ability to use AIM-120D air-to-air missiles. But let's be realistic. For some reason, the West transfers the most outdated weapons to Ukraine in the first place. Therefore, we'll rely on the minimum capabilities that the MLU program provides. If aircraft are equipped with AN/APG-66V2 radar, then detection of targets such as Su-24, Su-27, Su-30, Su-34, and Su-35 is possible at a distance of 70 to 75 kilometers, and target acquisition at a distance of 50 to 55 kilometers. If the NATO Link 16 data exchange system is used, then detection, escort, and target designation can be performed by NATO long-range radar reconnaissance and detection aircraft, which almost regularly patrol the eastern borders of NATO countries. We're almost certain that Ukrainian aircraft are equipped with such a system, Link 16, as it recently became known that along with the F-16, Ukraine will receive Swedish long-range detection aircraft Saab 340B AEW and C, which can scan the space at a distance of up to 450 kilometers. According to the idea, this should allow the F-16 and air defense systems to work from ambush without turning on their radars. Here we come to the tactics of using fighters loyal to Ukraine. According to the Ukrainian leadership, the F-16s are needed to level the threat that's become almost the main problem for the Ukrainian army: Russia's mass use of corrected aerial bombs. The Russian military-industrial complex was able to very quickly develop and mass-produce the Universal Planning and Correction Module, abbreviated as UMPK. It's attached to high-explosive bombs, of which there are hundreds of thousands in Russia, and those bombs hit targets at a distance of up to 80 kilometers from the point where they're dropped from an airplane. To do this, a Russian plane, most often a Su-34, accelerates, makes a slide, climbs to an altitude of 10 to 12 kilometers, and drops a high-explosive bomb from a UMPK without entering the Ukrainian air defense zone. In the air, the UMPK uses springs to spread its wings and rudders with Chinese servos and begins to correct the flight of the aerial bomb, aiming it at the target with the help of its built-in navigation module, which uses the American GPS, the European Galileo, the Russian GLONASS, and the Chinese Beidou. According to the Ukrainian military, any of their fortifications are powerless against bombs weighing 500 or even 1,500 kilograms. If a 1,500-kilogram bomb explodes within a 1-kilometer radius, people are guaranteed to be concussed. It was thanks to such bombs that the Russians were able to capture Avdiivka, a suburb of Donetsk that turned into a powerful fortification relatively quickly. At the peak of the battle, Russian pilots were dropping up to 80 to 100 bombs on a city of only 30 square kilometers. According to President Vladimir Zelensky, the Russian army used 3,200 guided bombs in April 2024 alone. Therefore, the main task of the F-16 is to put an end to this using its AIM-120 AMRAAM medium-range missiles. Their AIM-120A and AIM-120B modifications hit at 50 to 70 kilometers, the same range as provided by the AN/APG-66V2 radar. If you use a combination of Saab 340B, AEW&C, and AIM-120D missiles, the range can be increased to 180 kilometers. Of course, the Russians will somehow react to the appearance of the F-16. The most likely response is the escort of Su-34s by Su-35 fighters of the 4++ generation. They have H-035 Ibris radars with a target detection range of about 270 to 300 kilometers with an effective dispersion area of 1.2 square meters, which is exactly what the F-16 has. Their armament is air-to-air missiles, R-37, or according to NATO classification, AA-13 Arrow, with a range of 300 kilometers. The Russians also have an A-50 long-range detection aircraft, with which the Su-35 is integrated. Such a combination allowed Russian pilots to destroy 7 Ukrainian planes in one day. A-50 aimed at the target, and Su-35 hit it with its long-range AA-13 missiles. But then one A-50 was destroyed from an ambush by a Patriot anti-aircraft system. But in any case, confrontation between F-16 and Su-35 is impossible. Add to that the vast experience of Russian pilots compared to the experience of hastily trained Ukrainian pilots. This is one of the main reasons why the West is slow to hand over the planes to Ukraine. NATO realizes that there will be inevitable losses, and significant ones at that, which will hit the image of Western weapons hard. But there is, in our opinion, an even stronger reason. Any Ukrainian airfield can be hit by Russian missiles such as Iskander, Kalibr, and even Kizil. Such strikes have already been carried out repeatedly against airfields in Starokin, Stotny-Niv, Khmelnytskyi region, and Mirhorod, Poltava region, which, judging by publications in various publications, were intended for basing American airplanes. All this forced Ukrainian representatives to declare that some of the F-16s would be stationed at airfields in Romania and Poland. But the Kremlin immediately said that it would then strike those airfields. That is, it would hit the military infrastructure of NATO countries. And then what do we do? Invoke Article 5 of the NATO Charter and declare war on Russia? And this is already a nuclear war in which there will be no winners. Pretend that nothing happened? Then the authority of the West will fall to zero. But without F-16s, Ukraine will continue to lose its territories. The Russians with their half-ton and half-ton bombs will break through any defense. This is such a dilemma. So what will happen to the F-16s in the end? Our opinion is that they'll be delivered. They've been officially promised, and several dozens of Ukrainian pilots in Western countries are learning to fly them. The flywheel is spun, gaining inertia, and there's no stopping it. But there will be no basing of airplanes on the territories of Western countries. No one will take risks and create a pretext for the start of a nuclear war. Will F-16s change the situation on the front? We think not. After all, a maximum of 50 to 60 machines will be delivered. Putin has many more fighter jets. They've already announced a bonus of 15 million rubles, which is about $150,000 for the first F-16 shot down. The only thing these fighter jets will definitely do is slow down the Russian offensive. Still, they'll shoot down some Russian airplanes. Maybe that's what Biden's counting on, to approach the November U.S. presidential election with a more or less acceptable result on Ukraine. Well, time will tell. What do you think? Will the delivery of F-16s to Ukraine change the situation on the front? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd be glad for a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. See you soon.